Welcome to Rising Tide Startups, where today's most exciting solopreneurs share their startup stories. They also deliver tangible strategies that they would implement personally if starting their business over today. Each episode is a startup masterclass. Make sure you take notes. Take it away, Kevin.
This is Kevin Puit with another episode of Rising Tide Startups with my man cave background, just for my special guest today, Brian Clayton. Brian, thanks for joining us on Rising Tide.
Kevin, thanks for having me on. Great to be here.
I watched a couple of interviews. We were chatting just off camera. I watched a couple of interviews this morning that you had done previously, and I thought this was a perfect background for you. So I hope it fits, and I hope the motif, puts you at ease, and
I dig
jump
it.
right into it.
I'm from Nashville, Tennessee, so the motif fits. I love it.
Absolutely. You got a nice vintage background. So Brian, tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Brian Clayton. I am the CEO and co-founder of a company called GreenPal. And so GreenPal is like the Uber for lawn mowing. So if you're a homeowner and you need to get your lawn mowed, rather than calling around on Craigslist or Facebook or Yelp, you can just download our app and somebody will come out and take care of your grass cutting for you. Been at this business for 8 years. We're an 8-year overnight success. We have around 300,000 people using the app to get their lawn mowed, doing over $20 million a year in revenue. But it didn't start that way. It started out really hard. The first 2 or 3, 4 years of building this marketplace were really, really tough. But my co-founders and I just stuck with it. And little by little, we were growing the business. And now we've got a good business under our feet and actually starting to get fun. Before GreenPal,
starting to get fun.
It's starting to get fun. The first 5, 6 years weren't a whole lot of fun. So it's a fun business to run now. But before GreenPal, I actually had a landscaping business that I ran. I started a lawn mowing service in high school to make extra cash, and stuck with this little lawn mowing business all through high school and college, and grew it little by little over a 15-year period of time to one of the largest landscaping companies in the state of Tennessee where I live. Eventually, the business got to 10 million in revenue, 150 employees, and in 2013, it was acquired. And so then I took some time off, kind of retired, and then I took everything I learned from building that business from scratch and plowed it into GreenPal to get that company going, and haven't looked back since.
So it's really interesting when I interview people and we're talking about their business, how often we're actually talking about a software service as much as we're talking about kind of the business itself. So I know that you had mentioned on another episode that you actually took kind of 2 cracks at this to kind of solve the software problem around GreenPal, and there was one that you tried to source locally and it didn't work out.
Yeah, boy, you're bringing up bad, painful memories.
Never start with the bad things.
No, it's something that everybody needs to hear. So when I built my first business, my landscaping company, it was very much a blue collar business, hand-to-hand combat in the trenches, laborers, trucks, lawnmowers. I had like 3 mechanics that worked for me in that company that turned wrenches. And so that was the type of business I knew. And I thought, well, I did well there. And that was really hard. And it was really difficult running all of, it was 150 problems every day. It was really, really difficult doing that. I don't want to do that again. I want to start an easy business. I want to start a software company. And boy, I didn't know what I didn't know. And I didn't know the first thing about how to build software, but I didn't think that would matter. And I thought, okay, well, recruited 2 co-founders and we went to work, and we thought, okay, well, we can just pay somebody to build what we think this app should be, because I had the idea for the problem and the solution. I kind of knew how it needed to work, and I felt like if I could just explain it to somebody who could build a product that
let's go build it. Yeah,
let's go build it. And we pulled together our money, my 2 co-founders and I, and we invested $150,000 of our own cash, and this was like liquidated 401ks, credit card checks.
We're all in. Yeah,
mom went all in, and this dev agency took like 9 months to build GreenPal, and we launched it. And I'm using quotation marks here, launched it, and it was a total flop. It was a failure. We couldn't even get like more than 30 people to use it. And and the first thing we did was we passed out door hangers all over Nashville, Tennessee to try to get the word out, to just to get a few people to use the damn thing. Because at the time we were reading a book called The Startup Owner's Manual by Steve Blank, and one of the main lessons of that book is to get out of the building and go talk to customers. Well, we didn't have any customers, so we needed some customers, so we got some, and And we would talk to these people, and like we'd hear the same disappointment over and over again. Like the service provider didn't show up, or they didn't know they didn't get any quotes, or the person quoted but they didn't know what they were quoting, or
Mm,
they had reviews or they didn't have reviews, or they showed up late, or they did a crappy job. I mean, just a million problems that could go
yep.
wrong. And we were like, wow, man, we really didn't know what we didn't know. It's going to take a lot more work on this product to get it to where we can deliver a consistent, predictable, and reliable experience. And we were quickly like humbled and confronted with the reality that in order to be in the tech business, we're going to have to learn how to build software. There's
Yeah.
just no
Yeah.
way around that. And so my co-founder went to a boot camp in Nashville, where I live. It's called Nashville Software School. It was a 7-month program. I learned how to become a front end engineer. Really terrible one, but just enough to be decent. And that took like 2 years. But we learned how to build software while we built the next version that we could iterate on top of.
I mean, I love the idea of you talking about. So, I mean, all of us would have that assumption. I think it would say, okay, we know what the problem is. We even know what we think we know what the solution is. So just go build it. Go build a kind of a, that version online. But I've got to imagine that when you were thinking about building this, you're thinking, you know what, I just need to find 100,000 Brian Claytons out there because I was reliable. I showed up. I did a good job. I was trustworthy. I had good reviews. I got good referrals, whatever. But finding 100,000, of yourself is much easier said than done. So, what did how did you kind of overcome that problem of finding good quality, trustworthy? I'm thinking Angie's List here.
Right,
Almost a
right,
lawn mowing.
right. Yeah, couple of things there. So you know, trying to build a software app with no software experience is kind of like opening a restaurant, a 5-star restaurant with no chef. And so we learned
I
that
love that
lesson
analogy.
painfully.
Yeah.
And so we were learning how to build software, and then like, we're trying to solve the chicken and egg problem of getting service providers on the platform and getting homeowners on the platform at the
Right.
same time. And to your point, one thing that really really baffled me, astounded me then and now, it's like it's just really difficult to find reliable service providers in
Yeah.
this industry, in pretty much every service-based industry. And so like the same problems that homeowners face were now just shifted to us. And so
Yeah.
and
That's
so
right.
we were trying to figure out like the technological solutions, the software solutions to solve those problems. And here we are 8 years later, and we're still making it better, cheaper, faster, more reliable, more
Mhm.
predictable. And so it's just one of those things that you don't know until you get in there. Steve Blank says that every business plan, no, I'm sorry, no business plan survives first contact with the customer.
Yep.
And so that was what it was for us. Like to your point, I genuinely believe that. I was like, well, I'm coming to the equation from a contractor mindset, and so I'm thinking, well, competition's fierce, and there's 1,000 competitors, and everybody's going after the business. We give them this product, they'll be glad to use it. They'll bid a great price. They'll show up on time. They'll give these people white glove service. None of that happened.
Mm.
So we had to like figure out the software solutions to make all those things happen.
So it looks like to me that you've almost got a problem with supply and demand because you've got if you have the top notch 5 star lawn care people out there, they probably have more work than they know what to do with already. So why would they need to have this service? And then you're thinking, well, the people that actually would need my service, maybe they're a 3 star because they only cut a lawn and nobody ever asks them back. So we're just kind of trying to churn new customers all the time. So is there kind of an equilibrium point in those two kind of extremes I described?
Yeah. So your company that's running 5 or 6 or 7 people, maybe have 2 crews going out every day. They already have their systems. They do a good, nice job. And so they're not the best fit service provider for somebody who just has a $28 lawn mowing and they want it mowed every 2 weeks.
Yep.
So it's like that person, it's like pulling teeth for them to get anybody to take care of them because they only spend like $600 or $700 a year on their lawn
Right.
maintenance. That's where our product comes in.
Yep.
Our product comes in and makes it dead simple for that person to hire the person who's only mowing 10 yards but wants to do 200 and doesn't have a marketing budget, doesn't have a receptionist, doesn't
Right.
have an online presence, doesn't have any kind of reviews. You don't know, like we enable that homeowner that just wants a basic level of service to hire that best fit solopreneur right off the shelf. And the lawn mowing business is, it's interesting. Like I do a lot of interviews, and a lot of people say, my first business was a grass cutting service. And so it's like the lawn mowing business is like the gateway drug to business ownership, because it's such low barriers to entry. And so, but one thing that happens is like we're not taught in high school or college how to run a small business. You're not taught things like customer service, showing up on time, pricing fairly, making sure that you look presentable, you wear uniforms, and that you like take pride in the appearance of how your business looks to the customer. Like all of these things we're not taught.
Right.
And so it's like the barriers to entry to the lawn mowing business are so low that people who try to hire these folks, it's just always a terrible experience. And so it's our app's job to kind of be like lawn care business university, and
Hmm.
over time indoctrinate these service providers who have never ran a business into what it means to show up on time, why it's important to follow up, why it's important to be proactive, why it's important to fix problems when they arise, why it's important to let people know about other services you're offering, and like be kind of like their Sherpa or their coach
Yeah.
in their pocket to
Right.
run a successful lawn mowing business.
Is this, I mean, obviously, I've heard you described as kind of the Uber of lawn care type thing. I mean, it's that's in our vernacular, our business vernacular now, or the Uber of, fill in the blank. But I would think this would be applicable to just about any service, business out there that is kind of a repetitive, I need somebody to come out and do something for me, that type of thing, maybe even online.
Yeah, it's a great point. So the Uber for lawn care is a great way to, like, in 2 seconds you kind of get what we do.
Yeah.
But the analogy breaks down a little bit in terms of Uber treats their drivers like fungible commodities. You really don't care who takes you to the airport,
Right.
so long as you get there, they don't crash. But for us, if a homeowner hires a service provider, they want the same person to come out every week. You want
Yeah.
to develop that relationship. So it's like it's our job to facilitate that match, and then make the whole thing run smoothly for as long as you live in your home. And so that's kind of where the analogy breaks down a bit. But to your point, we're like in minute one of day one of the remote control for your life. You should be able to push a button and get anything you need done.
Yeah.
We're like in the first inning.
Yeah.
You can push a button and get Thai food delivered in less than 30 minutes. You can push a button and get a car to pick you up. You can push a button and get your grass cut. And there's a bunch of other stuff. But like to your point, you can't push a button and have a plumber show up in 10 minutes or 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And so it's like for us, we're focused on one thing, the lawn care industry, like
Hmm.
making that really easy. But somebody will come along and focus on these other verticals. The problem is that like the plumber, the painter, the pressure washing guy, the pool guy, the lawn care business, they all have 100 different problems. And so like there
Hmm.
has to be a unique tool set, a unique product for every one of those verticals to deliver that kind of Uber-like
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah. Yeah. That is a great point. I mean, I think the basic software platform certainly has applicability, to a multitude of different offerings, but you're exactly right. I mean, the problems that you're solving are unique to each one of those verticals that you
Right.
mentioned. So
And
is
and there's
this,
no shortage of places to go get names and numbers, right? You can go to
yes. Yeah.
Thumbtack, Craigslist, Home Advisor,
Right.
Angie's List,
Yeah.
Facebook groups, and you can get names and numbers of people, but you still have to manually poll these people,
Yeah.
and you still have to figure out like their availability. You still have to like figure out what's their pricing and all this stuff. So we kind of help with all that.
I mean, because it's software, it looks like that you don't have any geographic limitations, but are there specific areas of the country? I mean, is Nashville like a hot market for you because that's where you passed out your 100,000 flyers?
Yeah, so we spent 4 years just in Nashville figuring out how to make the product reliable, figuring out how to make the product consistent. And so like focus in a startup is really one of the only advantages that you have in your control. It's like focusing all of the founder's intensity
Hmm.
on one small little set of challenges that you're trying to overcome. And so for us, it was like we just got to get it working in Nashville before we go into other cities,
Yeah.
and that's why we spent so long trying to get it right. It's like nail it, then scale it.
Hmm.
After we figured out how to do it in Nashville, then we started moving into other markets. We started to figure out, okay, well, this is how we can roll it out to another city. Tampa, Florida was our second market, and Atlanta was our third. And once we kind of like did the trial and error process and figured out the little repeatable framework that we could do for city by city, we then started to move a lot quicker. But it's like getting in there, figuring out what works, and then learning from your mistakes and like failing on a small stage,
Hmm.
and then go wide. And that was hard. I mean, here I am. I just sold a $10 million business, and I'm starting this new thing, and we ended our first year with like 12 grand in total revenue. It was very hard. We went really slow, but we just kind of took our time and made the experience consistent.
Was there a point in time in those first 4 years that you ever woke up and thought, man, I need to pivot and do something else?
So the notion of the pivot is a good one and a bad one. I think it's like a lot of great companies came out of pivots, right? Slack and Instagram and
Maybe transition would be a better word, because pivot's kind of like you're in the same lane. I'm talking
yeah,
about
yeah.
like getting
Pivot
them to
is like
say, you know what, I'm gonna own I can run a Chick-fil-A, or something.
yeah, 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 yeah. Like pivot is like a change in strategy without a change without
Exactly.
a change in vision. And so for us, for me, like I'm always going to work on my best idea, and that's just like the default. And luckily, I'm not very creative, I guess. And so it's like my best idea was Uber for lawn mowing, and like was a decade ago, and it is today. And so it's like by default, no matter how much this sucks, and no matter how hard it is, I'm just going to be like plowing everything into this
Mm.
one idea. Now that said, I don't recommend you just like keep going no matter what, and regardless of
Throwing
lack of
money down a black
progress.
hole. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you kind of have to celebrate these little wins. And so for us, like our first year, our goal was 100 transactions in 1 week, and we didn't hit it, but we did get 65 or something. And like we knew, okay, well, if we could just double that next year, maybe, and then double it again 4 more times, then we might have a business. And the next year we hit like 320, and the following year was like 700, and then the next year was like it was like 3 4,000, and then the year after that was 10,000, and it kept like snowballing.
Hmm.
So somebody gave me good advice. It's like everything is big, start small. And I
Hmm.
knew if we could just keep doubling or growing that number 50%, that we would eventually have a good business. And so we were celebrating these little small wins, while like just focusing on 2 or 3 things at a time, making it better and better. In business and entrepreneurship, there's a lot of like paradoxes and dichotomies and things that like don't go together, that you kind of have to hold in your head. And one is like having this huge grand ambition, like this audacious goal. So you have to like have this huge like thing that you're going after, but you also have to think and act very, very small.
Mm.
And so it's like
Good
think
word. Good
small, but
word.
have a grand, huge, ambitious vision. And so for us, like we were always thinking and acting small. Like, to use American football as an analogy, we always ran the running game. Like it was always 2 or 3 yards at a time. We never
Hmm.
took long shots
Like
downfield
Vince
because
Lombardi.
boom.
Three
I
yards
mean,
in a
just
cloud of dust.
that's it. Like, and then you do that over and over and over again, it begins to add up, and that's
Yeah.
that's how we built this business.
It's funny when you talk about the business that you're in and how that started. I mean, like 1 out of every 3 guys in America started mowing lawns when they were a teenager. That's how they made money. 1 out of 10,000 continued to do that as a career. you know,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
funny. I know two in Nashville that did that. You're one of them. And the other one is the head groundskeeper for the Titans.
Fantastic.
So he started in Missouri, where I'm from, and a friend of his. I mean, he was mowing. He had a service that was mowing 100 lawns a week, at one time, and he just ended up, kind of parlaying that into something else and something else, and ended up working with the Royals, and then he went to Carolina, and now he's the groundskeeper there. And is it the Toyota Stadium or Nissan Stadium? I mean,
Nissan,
Nissan,
yeah.
yeah. Well, they're going to kill me for calling it Toyota, but yeah, yeah, but
Yeah, Nissan built Middle Tennessee.
exactly. But sticking with it with a vision, and I mean, hard days.
Right. Like momentum creates luck. And so
Mm.
the lawn mowing business is an easy business to get into. And if you get in there and get your first 10, 20, 100 customers, and get 100K in revenue, well, then you have options to do other things. You don't have to go spend 15 years in the landscaping business like I did. You can do all kinds of other things, but at least you got started. I coach entrepreneurs and business owners for free in Nashville where I live as a hobby. And one thing I always hear is like, I can't get started because I don't have capital or I don't have access to capital. Well, it's like, okay, well, tell me about your business idea. Well, I want to build like this new concept for a new bowling alley, and like it's going to take $10 million to build it, and I don't have that money, so therefore I can't get started. This is a story I heard about 2 weeks ago, and I thought, okay, that's cool, and yeah, I love the idea, great, but maybe we spend 5 years in a smaller business that you can get started,
Mhm.
like a construction company or a home
Right.
remodeling business or a pressure washing business or a lawn
Yep.
care business. Let's get 5 years in that,
Make snow
where you
cones out of a trailer. Yeah,
sell hot dogs.
that's right.
I know a guy with 3 hot dog stands downtown Nashville. He makes like 300 grand a year.
Mm,
Um, and let's put like 50 or 100K in the bank. Let's get a business plan against that track record. Then you can pitch to investors.
yeah.
But the thing is, like few people like want to be seen at the bottom, and they let that like stop them from getting started. So I mean, if you want it bad enough, you'll go cut grass, and you'll figure it out.
I mean, just a perfect analogy. I had a guy come to the house the other day to do some electrical work for me, and I said, hey, what's your background? How'd you get into this? He said my degree's in English. He
Oh,
said I
that's
was
great.
headed to be like an English professor, and he said, I thought, why in the world would I do that and make a third of what I can make, just fixing, wiring problems on houses? And he said, I've got more work than I know what to do with, and
Yep.
turning stuff down, and I can set my own schedule, and I enjoy what I'm doing. And I
And
thought, what a perfect
it's not
example.
like a win-lose, it's a win-win. He's winning, his
No
customers
doubt about
winning,
it.
if he has helpers, they're winning, his suppliers are winning,
Yep.
everybody's winning. Like you look at the any prosperous town or city, small business is winning. And like that's just awesome, man. Like I went through the same thing when I went to the college for business. I had to make a decision. Was I going to stick with this lawn mowing business
Yep.
and or go in the job market and take a pay cut?
Take a huge, that's
I didn't
right.
I didn't really want to be a lawn
And then
guy my
somebody
whole
else tell
life.
you what to do all day.
Yeah, so luckily it worked out for me. I wouldn't have amounted to much had I not gone the business route. So it worked
Yeah,
out for me.
absolutely. I mean, it sounds like to me that you were kind of wired as an entrepreneur anyway from
Day
the
one,
beginning.
yeah, I
Yeah.
learned really early and at a young age that I didn't have to hassle my parents for money if I just went out and mowed yards in the neighborhood. And man, I've never looked back since. Thank God, my dad forced me to go mow my neighbor's yard on a hot summer day because there's no
Yep.
telling how my life would have been different.
I mean, hey, small beginnings, right?
Yep,
Small beginnings.
exactly.
So what are some lessons that you think you've learned in the last, say, 10 years or so, running this, or 8 years, or however long it's been, that this is GreenPal. GreenPal was started what year again?
2013.
So 2000, so we're talking probably eight year run here. So what are some real, other than, we'll ignore the software issue that happened early, but what are some other things that were, are really tangible lessons that you can kind of pull out, and you'd say, this really would apply to about any business, but
Yeah,
specifically these are lessons I learned.
really tactical. That lessons that I learned were read the book The E-Myth by Michael Gerber, and then
Yep.
follow everything that book says. And one thing is like day one, create an org chart for your business. So let's just say you got a hot dog stand, and it's just me, so I don't need an org chart. Well, hold on. Like if you want to have 10 hot dog stands one day, let's go through this exercise. So let's create an org chart. So there's chief hot dog chef. There is the guy that is doing the bookkeeping. There's chief marketer. There's chief of supply acquisition. There's chief of maintenance for the stand, like the wheels got to be greased and the water's got to be changed. There is a chief of R&D, like how do I make the best damn hot dog on Broadway.
Hmm.
There is a chief of customer satisfaction. Maybe we get email addresses and give coupons out and see if people like our hot dogs. There's all these different roles, and I just named 12, and there's probably like 30.
Yep.
And like it's going to be your name on all of these roles. Day one, just bought the hot dog stand, but as time goes on, you can peel your name off some of these roles. So
Hmm.
maybe the first one is you want to go have 2 hot dog stands, so now you need to hire another technician. Well, it's not just as easy as hiring another technician. You need a training process.
Yep.
You need a standards manual. You need a procedure. You need like a way to follow up and make sure that they're doing a good job. So it's like just that one little thing forces you to go through the exercise of creating these processes to hire that one person. And so going through the exercise of proactively creating this org chart makes it to where you can then proactively build out a business, because there's a big thing that people don't really understand. There's a gap between owning a business and being self-employed,
Mhm.
and a lot of people don't really know the difference until it's too late. And so you want to create a business day one. Let's set this thing up to scale, and that's how you do it. The second thing I learned is when you're building out this org chart and you're like, well, I'm just running a hot dog stand here. I did 50 grand in revenue total last year. I can't afford a full-time marketer. That's cool, but still these days you can hire a marketer for an hour a month.
Mm.
It's okay. Like fractionally hire the best person, like the best CPA, the best legal person, the best marketing person, the best person to maybe help you think through some of the recipes, and hire them for an hourly basis for what you can afford on a weekly or monthly basis, rather than waiting until you can afford them full time. And so those two things of like going through the exercise of how am I going to build out this organization from 1 to 10 to 100 people over a 10-year period of time, and then slowly ease into putting different names on these roles through a fractional basis is what I have learned in the last 10 years of business.
I mean, that is such great advice. I mean, and the whole basic premise of the email talks about working on your business instead of in it, because if you continue to work in it, you're actually just an employee of 10,000 bosses,
That's right.
out there for sure. But
And then you got 20 people doing the same thing. Nobody knows who's responsible for
yeah.
what. And it's just organized chaos every day. And then you look at the bank account and you can't make payroll.
So you started this with two other owners or two other partners initially. So how did you kind of divvy up the roles and decide who's going to do what, and how has that worked? Because you've heard horror stories about partners thinking, well, actually I'm doing 70% of the work and they're only doing 30% of the work, and then we're splitting this 50-50, and it doesn't seem fair, and how do we fix this, and what
Yeah, the
how do you
co-founder
navigate that?
dynamics are there's a few things that kill most software startups. It's screwing up the co-founder thing, not thinking through marketing, and lack of sales, and building a product nobody wants. That's usually what kills startups. And so the co-founder thing is like, I see people, they have an idea and they want to start a business or start a startup, and their first inclination is, oh, I need to rush out and go get a co-founder. And like my advice is like, really think through that. Try to go it alone first,
Mhm.
and then if you find like your soulmate for a co-founder, then get married. But you really have to think about the co-founder relationship in the context of a marriage, because that's more like what it's going to be. Because
Good
if the
analogy.
if
Yeah.
the business is successful, or even if it's not successful, you're going to be spending more time with this person than you do your actual spouse. You're going to be
It's
six,
true.
7 days a week,
Yeah.
13 hours a day for the first 3 to 5 years. And you're going to have to go through hell with this person. So don't start a
Mhm.
business that you can't see yourself going through hell with, because it's not going to be good. Like just assume that it's going to be difficult, and you're going to have to go through hell with them. And the third thing is like Paul Graham says, you need to find, if you're starting a software business, a hacker and a hustler. And that's ideal. Somebody who can drive the business forward and somebody who can execute the technology side of it. But that's really really hard to find those two dynamics of people, particularly like if you're in a place like I am, Nashville, Tennessee. We're not really a hotbed for software entrepreneurs.
Not yet.
Yeah,
It's
not
headed
yet.
that
Maybe.
way. That's right.
Yeah, yeah. Give us a little bit, but yeah. So so for me, I got extremely lucky. So I don't want to like just espouse the advice of, yeah, go get two co-founders and go to work.
Hmm.
because I got really, really lucky. I found two people. What I was optimizing for was I was looking for people who just had a chip on their shoulder. They wanted to do something great with their life. They wanted to create a breakout product. They were pissed off at the status quo of
Mm.
where their life was. They didn't. They both of them were working at Dell Computer. They hated cubicle life, and so they just wanted to do something different, and they were willing to do whatever it took to be successful. That was it, and I could trust them.
Yep.
So I was like, if I have all that, then we can figure out everything else. So it worked out for me, but it doesn't always work out that way. So my advice is like give pause, like really think through the co-founder relationship, maybe date for a while, maybe pay
Hmm.
them as a contractor. If they really want to
That's good
co-found the
advice. Yeah.
business with you, they will earn their way in, and then make it official. Like that's my advice, because you're right. A lot of times there's animosity. You're not picking up your
Hmm.
fair share, or I don't really want to work this hard, or I thought you said it was going to be 2 years.
Yeah.
We're 2 years in and we haven't made any money. What's going on? And then they leave, and then you got all this dead equity.
Yep.
So yeah, that's my advice.
So how have you seen COVID affect your service? I mean, I mean, people still need their lawns mowed. It's an outside, kind of service. So have you seen any impact from COVID?
So when COVID set in, I guess about a year ago, we were scared because we thought, oh shoot, everybody's gonna be broke. Everybody's gonna try to cut their own grass
Mm. They're
or
home
whatever.
anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, they're home anyway. And what we actually saw was like a 20 or 30% increase beyond what we believed we were going to do that year for a couple of reasons. Um, like Uber Eats, DoorDash, Postmates, Instacart, Amazon Prime, all of these like interfaces like to get things done in the real world had banner years. And so
Yep.
we kind of rode that tailwind in terms
Hmm.
of like of accelerating the adoption of people using an app to do things in their day-to-day lives.
Yeah.
Because to this day, our biggest competitor is the status quo. Um, we're 10 times easier, cheaper, faster, more convenient to get your grass cut than any other way in the world if you live in the United States. And so but people still do it the old way. They still, just like people still, go grocery shopping and like schlep through the aisles. And
Yep.
when, for another $10, somebody would do that for you. And so like the adoption of these types of services, these types of apps accelerated tremendously in 2020. And that helped us actually. So we got lucky. It wasn't anything that we did particularly. Like we just got flat out lucky.
There are so many. I told you before we hit the big red record button that I've got about a million questions that I could ask you. But you mentioned something in another interview about there are other companies, kind of copycats, that have tried to replicate this. And you mentioned that one of the big problems that they had was that they tried to take too big a chunk of the revenue or the rev share on the the transaction. And you guys are really focused on keeping that pretty lean and mean, and let's work more on the quantity versus the percentage. But I can see that. I mean, so the transaction, is that set by the supplier or in your platform? Like, Joe's service is $100, Bill's service and Lucy's service is $50, and this is 60, and I just pick it by that, and then it doesn't even increase the price. It's just kind of a transactional fee on the supplier, right?
Yeah, that's exactly how it works. So when you're starting a marketplace like this, like Uber is marketplace assigned, which
Yep.
means here, we're assigning you the driver. We're telling you how much it's going to be. We're telling you when they're going to be there. In fact, I don't know how they got around skirting the employee relationship,
Yeah.
because in my opinion, they're really employees of Uber.
Hmm.
That's their driver. But great, good for them. They had really good lawyers, but that's marketplace assigned. And then you got Airbnb, which is marketplace assist. It's like, I want to go on a vacation to Miami. Let me look at all the inventory. I got condos, I got houses. This has a pool, this doesn't. This is 300 a night, this is 80 a night, this has 5 stars, that's
Mm.
got 2 stars. And like all of this rich data about the inventory around your buying decision that doesn't exist anywhere else, and all of these buying options that don't exist anywhere else. That's what makes Airbnb great. And our marketplace is more like an Airbnb in terms of
Yeah.
when you come on, you list your lawn. Okay, I want it mowed every 2 weeks. address, email, we take care of everything else. And then we surface to the service provider, okay, this is how many square feet it is. This is their service expectation level. This is how long it's been since they last mowed their yard.
Hmm.
You have 3 other customers on this street. The average winning price is 38 bucks in this zip code. Your win rate is like 14% in this zip code. So you figure out what you want to price.
Yep.
And then the homeowner gets back all of this rich options, kind of like Airbnb. Okay, well, I've got 5 quotes here. They range from $28 to $43, and here's the ratings, and actually here's how often these service providers show up on the day they're supposed to.
Mm.
And another piece of data is how often they get booked for a second mowing. And so, like, we surface all of this data to the homeowner to be able to hire who they want to work with, and the price and quality level they expect, and let them do that much quicker and easier than they normally could. So that's what we're in the business of doing. And then we take a small transactional fee
Right.
out of that we coach entrepreneur service providers to add on to their price. So in effect, it doesn't really cost them anything if they add it on into their quote.
And if it's a volume play, if I'm trying to build my business and I have 10 lawns and I want to go to 50, I mean, I'll gladly pay you the 5% to be on your marketplace to advertise for me and to, bring me clients for sure. It's like a finder's fee,
That's right. We, we
almost.
we charge a sliding rate based on how much volume they're doing through the platform, and if they want, we have several service providers that run their entire business. We have roughly around 10 or 11,000, and around 30% of them run their entire business on the platform. And then there's some premium tools that they can buy if they want
Mhm.
to help them with route optimization and stuff like that.
So what happens if it rains? And do they have contact? Like, does the supplier have the contact information for the person that booked the service, just to call them or text them and say, "Hey, it's raining. I'll come Tuesday instead," or how does like rebooking and that type of thing work?
Yeah, we build the software tools to make those things happen smoother. So if it rains, it's the service provider's job to go on to their dashboard and just push the reschedule to the next day. That way the
Mm.
homeowner's in the loop, they know, and then it's all populated on their dashboard and they know how many lawns they have to do, and it's all taken care of on what they got to do on a daily basis. If there's a service quality issue, we want the service provider and the homeowner to work that out directly. We're not in the landscaping business.
Yep.
We're not the lawn mowing service. We're not the we don't these people aren't our contractors, they're not our employees. We
Right.
make the whole thing run smoother through software in this marketplace, and we don't want to be in the business of, okay, he didn't blow off the back patio, hold on, let me call Joe's lawn service. Hey Joe, Mrs. Smith out there, and
Sure.
he said you didn't blow off the back patio again, and I know. It's been 4 times, and I know. She's very unreasonable. I know. Like, we didn't want to be in that business.
But do you let the suppliers know though when you do have those types of
That's right.
customer complaints? Just say, here, this feedback we got, we're just letting you know.
That's right. Well, inside of the dashboard for the homeowner, they can push a button, and it automatically texts the service provider, and so
Oh,
then they
great.
communicate
Yeah.
directly. But if like, hey, if you're not happy, you can push a button and get quotes again. And then we have a little pop-up that captures, okay, well, why are you getting quotes again? Well, he flaked on me, or
Yep.
he didn't, he just doesn't do a good job, or he increased his price and I didn't like it. And so we collect that data, and then we make better decisions about who we surface to consumers, and who we downgrade or even demote and expel out of the platform, which protects a consistent, nice,
Right.
convenient experience for homeowners.
Yeah. I mean, that you see, you're so good. You're preempting my questions now. You're answering before I ask, because I was going to say, this guy keeps getting 2-star reviews or whatever. You're going to go, sorry, you can't play anymore.
Absolutely. In fact, we are constantly flushing out the bottom 10%.
Mm.
It's kind of like, I read a book, Jack Welch, how he built GE, and that's what they did. The bottom 10% of their 20,000, 100,000 employees, they flushed out every year. And so it's not that these people are employees, but if you're at the bottom 10% of 20,000 service providers, you're just not good. You're not. Maybe you shouldn't be in business for yourself. You're not really giving it your all. This isn't that hard. I mean, yeah, lawn business is hard. All business is hard, but like, just show up. And
Yeah.
if you're not willing to do that, then you're not suited to be a user of this platform.
So what's your vision for the next, say, 3 to 5 years? What do you want this to be?
we've come a long, long, long way, and it's easy to look back and like, oh shoot, we got several 100,000 people using this thing. Remember when we were passing out door flyers and
Remember we
like you
had
want to like
6
you want to yeah we had
and we
ooh, we
knew
had
all of them.
we had 3 people sign up today. Like that was literally how it was going. So you want to look back like, wow, look how far we come. But I can promise you, it never feels that way.
Mm,
It always feels like day one, because the bigger your circle of like influence gets, like the bigger it is, then you see how much further there is to go.
Another episode in the books. We hope you heard some great takeaways. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a 5-star review on iTunes and YouTube. As always, thanks for listening to Rising Tide.